What's up, y'all? This is your boy, Super Barber Samson, with another banging video. Hey, check this out. Everybody is always asking me the same question, like, yo, does the fade haircut, does it have a standard on the texture of hair? And of course it does. The answer is, of course it does, because everybody hair is not equally the same. Everybody hair is not the same. So whether you African American, whether you Caucasian, whether you Asian, whether you Spanish, every hair have a different texture. And what makes you a master barber or professional barber is that you are able to go with the flow. You're able to cut whatever type of haircut that you can cut. Whatever haircut that sit in your chair, you should be able to cut. Yes, it's the same steps, but it has a different type of finesse to it. It has a different type of blend to it. You have to be very careful on some haircuts. With some clippers, you gotta dig in. Some clippers, you gotta hit back and stay back a little lighter. All right. So this video is for y'all. Check this out. It's my man, and this is my regular client. Hope y'all enjoy the video. All right, peace. Let's go. What's up, YouTube? Hey, it's your boy, Super Barber Samson again. This is one of my clients here. He gets a drop fade, slightly drop fade, military client of mine. And I just wanted to talk to you about hair textures right quick, because most times we all fall so short on hair textures because we just don't follow the rules of knowing how to, or I wouldn't say how to, but not knowing what we need to do in order to get the look that we want. Now, in order to get the look that we want, so now cutting this client right here, giving him a service, a drop fade. Now, it took me at least 2 times to give him the actual haircut that he really asked for. The first time, he was excited. He was happy because he went to some barbers before me, and they messed him up big time. So this, by me cutting his hair, it literally changed his idea of how a haircut should look. When you used to go in like sports clips or different places like that, or barbershops that are not well-rounded. If you don't go to a shop that's well-rounded, that's able to cut all types of textures of hair, what will happen is you will start to see your clientele get less and less and less. I don't care how much promoting that you're doing, unless you're one of those shops that are like a franchise shop, but if you're like a barber shop, a physical, whether it's an African American shop, black barber shop, or whether it's a Spanish shop or whatever, however which way you identify yourself, if you're not a franchise shop, and what I've noticed is that most people, they recognize when they are not in a franchise shop. So in other words, when they're not in a franchise shop, they know. Let's scratch that right quick, because most people know that a franchise shop is not going to give them the best haircut. And the people who go to a franchise shop, a haircut is not as important to them as it is to you, if that makes sense, right? But you have some people who do care about being a part of going to a barbershop that has a well-roundedness in haircuts, and knowing how to facilitate a great service, a great haircut service, no matter what texture of hair that is being cut. Now I'm talking about So like when you, whether it's Asian hair, whether it's so like I give you an example. So like I have clients as Filipino clients, and I have Japanese clients. Two different textures, right? They may look alike or look, and I'm talking about the hair. Absolutely the hair. If you see the hair, they may look a lot alike, but the textures are different in my experience, right? A lot of Korean hair is different than a lot of Japanese hair, a lot of Filipino hair, right? So it may seem the same, but if you know your hair texture, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. You must know the textures, the different textures of hair, so you can be able to nail the haircuts at any given time. No matter who sits in your chair, you should be able to nail that haircut, right? So like, I give you an example. Just today, I cut a gentleman. He had a huge scar in the back of his hair, in the back of his neck, right on the nape area. And you know, he was in a really bad accident when he was young. He fell out of a tree, cracked his neck, and fortunately, he was blessed to continue to live. He didn't die. It could have been fatal, but it wasn't, right? But he has this long scar that he didn't tell me nothing about. But I cut him one time before, and I totally forgot about it. So here's what he said. He says, give me a taper in the back of the hair, a taper in the back, cut across the ears, right? It's a Caucasian guy. Cut across the ears, right? And take down the sideburns a little bit, right? And then take about a half an inch off the top and everywhere else. And I'm like, all right, bet. And so me thinking, if this was an African-American haircut that I would have been cutting, it would have been a problem, because when an African-American client asks for a taper to taper it out in the back, right? I would pick up my Ergos or my Andis Masters, right? And I would either open or close. Whether it was open or closed, if I would have used that method, I would have literally like exposed that scar that he had on his neck that he didn't want to get exposed, right? But he just figured, and then I spoke to him later on, and I was like, do you want me to cut it down? He's like, oh no, I don't want you. I don't want nobody to see that scar. I hate that scar. So, you know, you have to sometimes tread water lightly, because everybody's hair is so different, that because his hair is so thin in that back area and his hair was blonde, because it was so thin that it could have been a major fail, right? So now what I tell you guys on this gentleman here that I'm cutting now, like, you know, what he asked for is a drop fade. And the drop fade is, it may be simple to some people, but it's not simple to everybody, right? And so he has, there are, I don't know what you may call it, but there's parts in his scalp around the temple going all the way back that the scalp goes in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And if you're not careful, it'll look like a spotted fade. So in other words, there's like 4 or 5 different spots on the side of it, and the whole side of his head that dips in and out. And if you're not careful, it'll look like you gave him some bald spots, right? So the first time I had to inspect the scalp, and then I had to figure it out. All right, so let's just, if we can, let's just dig into this cut, because I really want to show you, like, you know, I've already, like, and this is for barbers, like, you know, a lot of times barbers, like, they want tutorials and they want, like, to see actually what you're doing, but it's still not the same until you literally learn how to do the steps, like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, whatever you need to do. Everybody always asks, well, what do you use for that? How do you do that? How do how do you take out the line? If you haven't been to barber school yet, go to barber school and at least know the fundamentals, because the fundamentals will at least help you not to hurt somebody. And I mean physically hurt somebody. I mean like physically mess somebody up so bad where they're going to talk about you for your whole career, or a better part of your career, or they'll never forget you. And let me tell you something. When you give someone a bad haircut, let me tell you something. People never forget that. I want y'all to hear me clear. People never forget bad haircuts. I don't care how young you are, how old you are, or whatever have you. People never forget when you give them a bad haircut, because that stays etched in their mind, and they're going to always remember. If they don't remember the barber, they're going to remember the person. Okay? Y'all following me? So this is why it's important to learn the different textures of hair. So as a growing barber, we want to minimize your mistakes. I want you to catch this. We want to minimize your mistakes. We want your mistakes to be less and less and less and less and less. We want your mistakes to be so less that you don't make a mistake, or make a non-fixable mistake. And so there are different types of mistakes. There are mistakes that are fixable, that you could blend in a little bit, and there are mistakes that are not fixable, which you leave. You take a plug out of somebody's hair, or the fade is instead of it being a light fade, it becomes a ball fade, right? And so on and so on and so on. So the way for you to make it work, the way for you to do what you need to do as a licensed barber, is to train yourself to be repetitious and always cut less, because you can always cut more off if you cut less, right? So if you see what I'm doing here in this haircut, I am literally cutting less off and blending down rather than blending in, if that makes sense. And one day I'll have another video and I'll show you in detail what I'm talking about. So instead of using a 2-guard, right, I'll use a 3-guard, right? And then I rather underestimate than overestimate, right? So in other words, I rather cut less off and listen to what I'm cutting and until it blends in, and then I could kind of like get inside the hair. I could dig in a little bit more, if that makes sense, without taking a plug out or without worrying about messing up the fade. Only thing I have to do is rock it out, up and down until I get that blend right, okay? And then if I'm using a 3-guard and I drop it down to a 2-guard, I'm gonna make sure the 2-guard is open, right? Instead of closing it, right? That one step may make you fail, having the guard closed rather than having it open, right? So this is where, as a licensed professional, you just learn. So he get this is again what I'm telling you guys, a simple haircut, but it is a major haircut to this young man, right? It may be simple to you, or it may be simple to me, right? Easy drop fade, right? But all he wants is a little bit off the top. Like he said, just trim the top, right? Take off the ends, right? Clip the ends, right? And so that's what I'm doing. I'm clipping the ends, and then that's it. So I gave him a basic drop fade, not bald, but a light fade, right? Not bald, but light fade. I think I went bald on this, but he normally acts it where he doesn't want the shavers on it, if that makes sense. So a lot of my clients, I'll put the shavers on, and a lot of clients don't want that because they break out or whatever. So I call it a very light fade, right? So if you wanted a bald or skin fade, then that's when I pull out the shavers, right? So right now I'm just using some clip over comb, and I'm just cleaning him up to the way he wants to be cleaned up. I'm doing what he's asking for, what he needs to be done, and that's it. I mean, literally, that is it. And you'll see the haircut is almost coming to an end. But after I finish using some shears, I got some thinner shears, and I'm just kind of like blending in the little bulky spots. So a fade is basically if you are a barber, a fade is basically where you blend from one part to the other part, and there's a transition without a step, if that makes sense. Even though you're using steps to get to that transition, you're using a step to go from point A to point D or point E, right? You're using steps, but it should be seamless where it flows right into from no hair to thick hair, right? And so what I always use as a rule of thumb is I make sure that when I'm cutting somebody hair, I can't say it enough. I cut less. I always cut less because I have no problem if they say take a little bit more off. Does that make sense? So if my client, if he says, hey Samson, I want 2 inches off, right? I may take 1.25 inches off, right? And 9 times out of 10, they say that's perfect, right? They don't really know because you took a little less off. Then now, how do you measure? There's measurement combs. Usually, if you wanna be working perfection, they have measurement combs where you can literally measure how much hair you should take off, right? And this is a simple haircut. I always cut this guy, and as you can see, like he's happy. He's happy right where he's at. He's good. There's not a problem, and he'll be back next week. He comes every week. And these are one of my clients who I love to cut because he doesn't ask for much. He just wants a tight fade. He wants it to blend. He wants it to look professional because he's also in the military. And he wants to be able to tell his friends, hey, this is my barber. And he has sent me clients. His family came from out of town. He brought his whole family over to the shop to get a haircut. And this is what it's all about, guys. It's all about being a barber. It's all about building relationship with your client, so then that way your client can be your billboard. Your client is the one who's without saying anything. And you need to think about that. If your client walks out the shop and he doesn't look good, when he walks into Walmart or goes to the club or goes to dinner that night with his girlfriend or with their family, you want people to ask, who cut your hair, right? You want everyone to ask him that. So if you approach every haircut with that type of, not caution, but if you approach every haircut with that attitude, I promise you, it's going to change the trajectory of how you do your business as a barber, right? So as a barber, I have to make sure that I'm doing everything I need to do to make sure he's happy. And so if you look at the fade, I put a little enhancement on him. You know, he wants enhancement, not too much, but because he has pitch black hair, but he wants the hairline to pop. So I put a little enhancement on him, so then that way, when people see him, that line is sticking out. That line is popping. That line is telling somebody like, man, who shaped you up? Who fixed you up? Right? Who cut your hair? That's what I want all my clients to say. And so every client, whether it's a child or whether it's an adult, right? And so my teenagers, my children, I want to cut their hair so good that even when they growing into teenage years, they know that Samson took care of them, right? They also know that Samson is their best barber, right? I don't have to be the best barber for the whole world or for all of Texas or for all of New York or for all of California. I just have to be my client's best barber, right? And so when you get caught up on trying to be the best barber of everybody, you're trying to do too many things. When you have clientele coming in, just satisfy your clients. Make sure your clients are happy. Make sure your clients are doing everything that they need to do to support you, far as giving you promotion, letting people know where you at, and that's it. You know, and that's all it is in a nutshell. You know what I'm saying? And check this out. If y'all like this video, here's what I need you to do. I need you to like. I need you to subscribe. I need you to hit that bell button, and not just hit the bell button, become a subscriber of my channel, and look forward to the videos, the new videos that I have coming at you. I got so many tutorial videos coming at you, and I'm telling you, it's gonna do more than just help you. It's gonna bless you. It's gonna build your confidence. It's gonna take you to a whole nother level. All right, this is your boy Super Barber Sampson. Holla at your boy. Let's go.